We should be live. We'll verify here. Hello, everyone. Hanging out in the Leaders Lounge for a little bit with my friend Melissa Drake, who's also been an awesome expert contributor to the panel for Unleash Your Dog's Best 2020, our industry leaders edition. I was super glad to bring her on to talk about collaboration versus competition and some really powerful ways to capture your message. She's really big on sharing your story. So am I. The uniqueness of your own experiences, the life you've lived, and the way that you see the world is something that is a gift to people when you're doing the healing work, I think, to be able to stand in that power and share it authentically. And so we just talked a lot about that in our interview. If you guys haven't had a chance because you're behind on listening or didn't think it was applicable to you, well, you're wrong. And you need to get your booty back and watch this one. Watch them all. They're all amazing, but definitely watch this one, because a lot of what Melissa and I have talked about over the course of the year and a half that we've kind of collaborated in different ways is how much your stuff is behind what you're able to do and bring to others, and how you, create success in your business and projects that you do. So you need to know this if you're trying to be a good leader.
Yes.
So thanks for hanging out with me today and spending the
Thank you.
extra time to connect with the people in the
I
lounge.
love
This is
it.
going to be
Yeah.
fun.
I'm super
Say hey.
grateful.
And did you hear from anybody off of the event yet?
I
Anybody reach out and
did.
connect?
I have had 12 people sign up for the free download to write your book.
Nice.
And
Awesome.
I've had 2 calls already with people, and
Awesome.
2 people interested in the collaborative book. But my favorite response was from a trainer named Jay, who said he had been he's been in the industry for almost 2 decades, has been tossing around the idea of writing a book for the last 5 years,
Mhm.
and after he downloaded the template, started his book.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yes. That's so cool. So
Yes, and
cool.
that's not the first time I've heard that. So that just
Yeah.
makes me just really like the process works.
Yeah.
I know that it works. And to
Yeah.
see someone who I don't know personally that I connected with through this summit
Yep.
using the tools to do something that's been on his heart for a really long time
Yeah.
is huge.
It is. It's
So,
totally huge. Totally huge. Thank you for being
yeah.
a part of that. And I know there are going to be a lot of people, as we have both experienced too, and have been those people too, who lurk in the background and never actually say you reached me in some way. There'll be a lot of
Yes.
that going on, and it's a really
Yes.
cool experience when you do get that feedback and validation and encouragement. And so I'm always telling people, hi to everyone. By the way, I'm starting to see your comments come through, guys. So yes, please let us know that you're around. I'm going to just roll this on my phone because then I can see the names better. There's Jay. So it is really cool how much more confidence you can build by taking that initial step and doing something imperfectly. I mean, there's a million things that aren't
Yes.
perfect about this summit event. I have had tighter event executions in a lot of ways, but I also improved it in many ways. And so it's
Right.
just the sheer fact of just do it, go for it anyway. Screw perfection. You'll never arrive there. And that you bring value. You can bring value. You can help a lot of people, a lot more
Yeah.
people than you think. And those messages are so precious to me too. When someone
Yeah.
reaches out and says, "I don't think you realize that this really resonated with me as deeply as it did, and encouraged me that I'm not too broken to make a difference or to be
Yeah.
successful in my goals." So
Yes.
that's really cool,
And
really exciting.
I'm glad you mentioned perfectionism too, because that's one of the things that came through in the
Mm,
message from both of the people that I met with was I haven't done anything. In fact, Jay said, "What is it that makes this process different?" And I said, "Because inherent is the process. In the process is doing something before it's perfect. I
yeah.
think our work becomes good when it's shared, when we get the feedback,
Hmm.
when we get, especially the feedback that we don't want to hear.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
we hear
Good
that,
point.
okay, that's good, but that's not great. Like when I share my writing, I know it's good,
Hmm.
but if someone says it's good, I'm like, did you read it? Because surely there's a way I can improve. So it's it's the sharing
Yeah.
it that makes it better. It's the collaboration that makes it better. It's also very humbling to be in that place sometimes. But this 10-step
Hmm.
process to create your book includes that opportunity to be imperfect. In fact,
Hmm.
it's built on that. It's built on starting before it's done. And especially as control freaks and perfectionists, we like to have everything just perfect before we put it out
Recovering.
there.
I like
Yes.
to say
Oh,
recovering.
yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yes,
Speak for yourself.
yes. Thank you. No, that's perfect.
I call it a recovering perfectionist control freak, and I call it a vulnerability junkie.
I love that.
I am a vulnerability junkie.
Oh, I
Sign me
am
up for more
too.
of that.
I am
Oh
too.
man,
That's
because
great.
it's so vulnerable when you throw caution to the wind and you can't
It is.
control, perfection being a factor of your execution. It's
Right.
risky. It's really
Yeah,
risky. Hmm.
definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. Cool, cool. Well, I'm so excited to see what comes of these projects, and I'm
Yeah.
really glad people reached out to you and are taking advantage, and hopefully they continue to do so. The event will wrap here this week, and then we will run a replay for 7 days. So if you're freaking out because you realize you didn't listen to Melissa's interview or you missed somebody else, it's okay. I planned for that. I knew lowest common denominator, people would be lacking behind on their work. So we will give you guys another chunk of time to get it in. And I strongly urge people to do that and take advantage of connecting with you, because you're going to get busy and run out of
Thank you.
spots.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, in
Let's,
terms of the collaborative book,
yeah.
um, we need at least 10 people to commit to have a good story. So
Okay.
the biggest advantage of doing a collaborative book is that as an author, you get the benefits of being published and having your book
Hmm.
and only writing one chapter and
Hmm.
having someone else do all of the heavy lifting for you in terms of the cover, in terms of the graphic design, the
Yeah.
publishing, the marketing, all of that. But we have to have at least 10 people in order to make it enough content to have a
Hmm.
really good book out there. So
Yeah.
that's the main thing is getting people excited and interested in the collaborative book. If
Hmm.
you want to do your own book, what I suggest is being in a collaborative book first, because that momentum will
Yeah.
help you build your audience
Yeah.
and put you in a better position when you publish your own book.
Hmm. Hmm. Walk us through a little example of what structure you provide for that process for creating that chapter. Because I think for a lot of people, even that is intimidating. I mean, I was freaking out about my busy schedule even, and like, oh my God, I'm supposed to get that done by when? You're like, no, 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 it's not as bad as you think. But I think it will help people to understand, is it certain questions that you prompt? Are you, providing particular type of guidelines that helps it with somebody who's really intimidated?
Excellent question. Yes, and I have outlined the submission process, which gives a lot of writing prompts. So, what we talked about was the book being it's not your dog, it's you. So, these behaviors that we blame on our dogs
Hmm.
that really come back to either us personally or how we're interacting with them. And I've listed probably 10 different prompts about dogs and different behaviors. But again, I'm not in the industry, I'm not as close to it as you guys are. And they are simply suggestions and
Hmm.
prompts. I am open to any sort of behavioral relationship story between dogs and humans.
Hmm.
And I think the purpose of it is one that we can share your knowledge. So, what I recommended to the people that I met with is how can you tell your story in a way that opens up people? It educates them, first of all, but connects them with you so that they want to learn more, particularly for people who want to grow their business or they want to
Yeah.
write their own book. What is that slice of dog behavior that gets people more interested in you personally?
Hmm.
And if you don't know what that is, I guarantee you, if we have a conversation, we'll figure it out
Yeah.
just through conversation. So when I talk, the two people that I've had calls with so far, we were both very clear at the end. This is this is the direction that we want to go with this story. In
Mhm.
terms of the chapter, it's literally like writing a long article. We're talking up to 2,500 words. And when I was an editor at a publication, 1,200 words is a pretty good average length of an article.
Okay.
So you're just, you know, I don't know how fast you write, but I could write that in half an hour or 8 hours. It just depends on,
Yeah.
for usually when we're telling a story that's really close to us, it flows really
Mhm.
nicely. So that's what I want to get out in the
Mhm.
conversations with people is what is that thing that you can write about easily
Mhm.
that helps people know who you are and what you're about.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And
I
if
think
you
that's helpful. That'll
Yeah,
encourage a
and
lot of people to
if you
realize it's
don't
that
know what
simple.
that is, again, I will help you figure that out.
Mhm.
So that's the first step is figuring out what your story is, and then writing it. The submission process details what I'm looking for there,
Mhm.
and then it's in the editing that makes it good. That's the
Mhm.
whole collaborative process that I talked about earlier. The editing
Mhm.
is where we say, okay, this is good, but can you bring me this piece of it? Or can you expand this? Or maybe you want to
Mhm.
cover that. Like that's where it gets really good. And then for me as the editor and publisher on the back end, there'll be curation that takes place to make sure that the book flows from one chapter to the next, that there's that it's readable, that
Yeah.
readers pick it up and they are excited not just to read Cameron's chapter, but the whole book.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I have so many stories that, as soon as we started talking about this concept, it made a lot of sense to me as a strategy to create something that would be of value to the public who need it, and also to support getting this information out of those of us that have been doing this work, and sort of have these unconscious
Yes.
coaching sessions with our clients about where their personal life is manifesting a lot of the struggle that they're seeking professional support for. And for me, the biggest topic is separation anxiety, or what
Mhm.
I coined as togetherness addiction years back. And that's how
Mhm.
I refer to it with my
Mhm.
clients now is, your dog has togetherness addiction, and then breaking down how we produce that, because it's a totally man-made problem in the dog.
Right.
It's a totally, totally
Mhm.
man or woman made problem. So I'm looking forward to, getting some of those
That sounds like
stories.
that's your chapter.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that because I've worked with a lot of people whose lives were seriously impeded, by
Mhm.
these, mental and emotional traumas and blocks and habits and patterning that are being relived in a codependent relationship with the dog, and without the ability to set boundaries and, share healthy, consequences and accountability
Right.
with the pets in their life. It's a crazy thing how it plays out, and just how obvious it is to me anymore. The minute I'm looking at somebody on paper, even, it's like, oh,
Mhm.
I've got questions
Mhm.
about that marriage, or I've got questions about, that in-law. One of
Yes.
the clients that I just absolutely love and have done a lot of work with around this particular topic. One of the biggest problems why their dog was such a severe separation anxiety case was because of the woman's relationship with her own mother. It was so
Wow.
fascinating. And how much that's the piece I love about dog training, is the invitation for us to grow and improve our own lives based on, what our dogs are
I
reflecting
love
for
that.
us. Is
Mhm.
it's not what you expect when you get a dog. It's not, I just
Right.
not at all, not at all. In fact, it's fun because there are a lot of people in this room who are, colleagues with me who will relate to this, I think. But I had a outreach this morning. In fact, or it was yesterday. I didn't answer it till this morning. From somebody who got a 6-month-old puppy a couple weeks ago, and it is, starting to growl and be defensive and feel overwhelmed by the 2-year-old toddler. And she already went through having a dog. So it's like you're the common denominator now
Mm.
that you're having these issues manifest in this puppy. It isn't the puppy is broken, or, puppies get broken and have issues with kids. It's you are the common denominator now, and not respecting the species and your role that you have 2 toddlers. That's what you did to yourself when you got a 6-month-old puppy. You now have 2 toddlers. You can't, expect that the relationship's going to be symbiotic and unattended and, all that good stuff. It's very interesting having to confront, more of those deeper behavioral beliefs and habits that she's been walking around with, and they're
Yep.
manifesting in this now situation again. So
Do
yeah,
you
there's
think that's why
topics
so
for
many
days.
people give up their dogs? Is
Yep.
because they're not willing to confront that?
Yep. And nobody tells them. I actually think that's a
Right.
huge failing of the dog
Yeah.
training industry, is a
Yep.
lack of respect for the human psychology
Mhm.
responsibility in your role. That's a big reason I think that we fail the pet owners that we serve, is not going to the heart of the problem and not understanding the human psychology of their behavior and what they're attracting. Like literally
Yes.
law of attraction is playing
Yes.
out with your
Yeah.
dog the same
Yeah.
way it's playing out in your boyfriend attractions, your girlfriend attractions, your clients. Yeah.
Okay,
There's
as you're
some depth.
saying that, I just had an idea that you need to write the foreword to the book to explain that as just an introduction to kind of set
Hello, kitten.
the stage for
She
everyone.
agrees,
Yeah.
apparently. All right. Sounds good. We better get cracking. I'm taking time off for this in July so we can get it done. I'm serious.
I know, that's awesome.
I'm
Thank
serious.
you.
Let's do it. Yeah. Hey
Yeah.
guys, good to see you here. Thanks for popping in. Sometimes the comments are a little bit delayed, but Carrie Ann said, hiya, beautiful faces.
Hi.
Carrie's
Good
here.
to
Lisa
hear.
said she wanted my mug. Hopefully she got my link earlier. Very cool. Let's see. What else do we need to tell the people to get them psyched about coming on to our collaborative book project? I think a lot of people just knowing, again, human behavior and psychology, and where people tend to get stuck is there's a lot of people in this room who won't think they have enough experience.
Yeah.
Let's speak to that nonsense.
It is nonsense.
Frances just popped on the live stream, by the way, and she would be an amazing contributor. She's a brilliant writer, really an artist at
Yay.
heart. Frances, you need to get in this book. So
That
anyway,
sounds
keep going.
wonderful.
For the
Yeah.
people who are going to be stuck in resistance and haven't read Pressfield.
So this comes up all the time in writing in general and business in general, but there's so many other gurus. There are people that know more, that do more, that here's a big one. They say the same thing as me. So the
Yeah.
coaching industry as a whole, we're all talking
Yeah.
about the same thing,
Yeah.
right? We're all talking about the same thing. Um, no one is going to talk about the same thing the way that you do. No
Yeah.
one has your heart, no one has your energy, no one has your exact experience. And so that's where I say that's nonsense.
Hmm.
You have value just by being in this group and listening to this live. You are clearly connected
Yeah.
and you are a leader in your industry, and it's
Hmm.
time to share that knowledge. And the other thing that happens, the resistance, again, back to perfectionism. I'm not a writer. Well, you don't have to be a writer to get a book published.
Hmm.
You need a good editor, which I happen to be
Hmm.
particularly good at that. And you need someone to help you find the parts of your story that are most valuable. Like we have this big, here's everything that I'm about. So in having that conversation, I can help you say, this is your theme.
Hmm.
This is what's most pertinent for you to put forward and for you to share.
Yeah.
And then on the back end, not only are you going to get the book, but I'll create social media posts, not even posts necessarily, but memes with quotes that will help facilitate that message and help you market the book on the back end. So not only are you going to have a book, but you're going to have a press release and you're going to have social media tools that will help you promote it. So it's
Awesome.
just a good business builder as
Yeah.
well.
Totally. 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 I love it.
And I know in the other live we talked about books being the new business card and being able to say that you're a published author.
Hmm.
And having just written and published my own book, I can tell you that it's a lot easier to do a chapter than it
Yeah.
is to do a book. It's a lot less expensive in terms of time and
Yeah.
money, and just having someone else carry that emotional labor
Yeah.
of the details and the hard work that goes into getting it out there.
Yeah, because there's a reason a lot of us have been talking about it for a while, but not actually gotten
Yes.
it done. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's an awesome opportunity to have a stepping stone. Personally, I'm
Mhm.
I'm maybe less intimidated by the concept. For me, it's very practical. It's like, this is a thing that needs to happen. And I also feel drawn to doing it, but I can be very objective about it. It doesn't mean it gets done. It doesn't mean it's prioritized, or that it flows easily, or that the order of operations to execute on that vision. And these are a lot of the things that, hang us up and have us sort of stall out and never actually get it done. So,
and that's why
I was thrilled with
collaboration
this
is
idea.
so important.
Yeah.
Because we don't know everything there is to know, and that's why.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
It's by design that we don't know everything there is to know, because we need other people to make it happen.
Yeah, well, I love that you said that. I love that you said that, because I totally
said that.
I totally agree with you. I think it's so funny how often our brain, the stories that we tell ourselves to, try to shoot down what is possible, and yet it's like every single human is going through the exact same experience, and the second you go in, you drop into that vulnerability, and a willingness to just put your BGPs on and go, it's like you get so much more. You're such a better person for being in relationship, and that's the collaborative opportunity is. We're such a stand for that. It's funny how many times you can say it and people really struggle to let that in. But man, once you've experienced it, it's undeniable for sure. And
Absolutely.
I think it'd be kind of cool actually for us to speak to the people who've been burned. I have had a few calls personally off of this event where folks have invested in coaching and it was not a great investment. They didn't get what was promised, or they didn't get what they thought they were going to get out of it. And they lack faith and trust in themselves to make good investment decisions. Let me just say, if I haven't spoken with you directly, guys, and that resonates, that is a common experience as well. And there's usually, I don't know, I'm going to be curious to hear your take on this, Melissa, but I think there's kind of a couple main reasons this happens. And it's not just that you didn't get what you were promised, but a lot of times you didn't step up for yourself in what you needed to do, promising yourself back in that moment of exchange. And you did not, do what was coached for you. And so a lot of times you need to feel that sucky feeling of wasted money, wasted time, lacking trust in yourself, in order to care enough that next time you'll do the work. And this is in dog training all the time. I get clients constantly that have hired 3 other trainers before they're working with me, and I cost more. And it has to hurt because they didn't show up to the party last time. It wasn't always because it was bad advice. Sometimes it's that they just finally are taking things seriously. So maybe we can talk to that for a minute, because I would love for us to put a little pressure on people that need accountability today, that are hiding and not stepping up and asking for it voluntarily. I'm all about the slap hug, but so this is resonating for you too, huh? Not doing your work. I love it.
On the call this morning, I was talking about how after my TEDx, I expected everything to be different, right? Like, I'm going to be, I'm Brene Brown. I'm traveling all over the world. And then I also had this, oh shit moment. Like, oh shit, it's out there. Same thing with my book, which is 100 times more vulnerable than a TEDx talk. Oh shit, it's out there. And I instantly went into this retreat mode, like, oh, it didn't happen the way I wanted it to, or I expected it to. And so now it's bad. No, it's not bad. I retreated. Like, that's what's bad about it. I retreated. I stopped believing in my message when it didn't go viral instantly. I stopped doing the work, and I probably paid $20,000 last year on coaches and to get my work out there. At the same time, when I was being a hermit and not putting my work out there. And I have not blamed them at all. Like, I blame myself more than, granted, they could have done more and all that good stuff. They weren't perfect. But it's a reflection, and I know that, and it stings like a you know what.
Painful.
Yes. But it's also a necessary part of my growth and evolution. So um, it's hard. It is hard, and especially when you do something really big like a book,
Yeah.
to just continue pushing forward, even if it doesn't go the way that you expect it to. And one of the things that I love about you is that you are ridiculously compassionate and extremely you have extreme accountability. Like,
Mm,
this is the way it is. You have to do these things, but
mhm,
I'm going to love you the whole time, even
mhm.
if you're late, or even if the technology doesn't go the way we expect it to. Which, yeah, that happens all the time with us. But that's just part of the process, is
Yeah,
having that
thank you.
accountability and the compassion at the same time. And I think that's a unique combination.
Mm.
Not most, a lot of people are all about the accountability and forget the compassion. Or I tend to go the other way, where I'm more compassionate and less accountable.
Mm,
And
mhm.
I think you have that very unique balance, that can be hard to obtain.
Well, thank you. It's
You're
incredibly
welcome.
generous. I don't think it's always been there. I definitely think that there have been people who've experienced a feeling of lack in one department or the other over the years, but that's definitely been the goal and what I've strived to arrive at every time I've had to face my own experience of letting someone down,
Yeah,
or wanting to rise to the next level and have the ability to be even more effective and impactful, has been about looking for that balance, that I not, overwhelm people too quickly or underwhelm them, and
right,
limit their progress, is
right.
definitely a conscious driving force behind the projects that I do, and the way in which I communicate with people, and how I structure events and things as well, to kind of make that journey happen.
Yep,
But it's tough because, standing in that role, I can't want it more for somebody than they want it for
right. I have
themselves.
that.
And
Yep.
I absolutely had those moments where I want it real bad, but I can see that they do not. And they will blame you. They will,
Yes.
in their fight, in their resistance, they will blame you as the coach, or the, mentor, or the healer, or,
The
the
expert.
friend, even, we do it to our spouses. We do it in a lot of relationships, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that tricky space that's so utterly humbling, but the most powerful and effective for us, is ownership. And it's
Mhm.
it's hard. I've not always been good at that. I still have days where I don't go straight there.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I really appreciate the tremendous feedback and validation at the fact that the effort and the desire, the intention is there.
100%. Yep. Yep. I felt that from the very beginning. I appreciate that.
Thanks, lady. Thank you.
You
Thank
bet.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how quickly are we thinking to launch this collaborative book?
So the most important part, well, I want to publish it before Christmas. I want it available for
Cool.
Christmas orders. Um, but in terms of timing, I would say we need to take at least, well, a, a couple of weeks to make sure we have at least 10. I'd love to have 20 authors if possible.
Hmm.
One of the things that I added into the process is a $200 rebate for people who bring a friend.
Cool.
So if you're in this group and you have maybe someone outside of the group and you want to invite them to the group and you sign up together, there's a $200 rebate upon publication that they can either
Awesome.
get back in cash, or they can donate to Hope 2K9.
Awesome.
So
So cool.
that's the first thing we have to
That
do. If
was
we
really
don't
nice.
get 10
Mhm.
authors, we can't do it.
Can't get it done
We
that quickly.
Nope,
Yeah. Okay.
nope.
We need them. We need them.
Yeah, we need at least 10 authors. So I want to do that by July 20th, and then we've got a couple more weeks to get your stories in. Then the next month is going to be editing. The following
Mhm.
month will be publishing, and I'm very particular from a publishing standpoint in that I have a very, I'll say, excessive quality control process.
Good.
So I learned that I've published two bestsellers for my client. I did my own book, and I'm currently publishing someone for
Oh,
another client.
psycho. Stop. We're talking
And
about something important.
So we'll take a good 30 days to make sure that the
Good.
quality control is good, and
Yeah.
then we'll launch it sometime late this fall. And I'd like to tag along with any fundraising efforts that you have, just so that we can increase momentum and exposure that way.
Cool.
And that's something I want to note too, that
Mhm.
all of the royalties for this book will go back to Cameron's nonprofit.
Wow, it's so
Yeah,
incredible. It's so
yeah,
incredible. And you know
yeah,
what, people, by the way, when you go to pitch this thing and talk about how you're now a published author and the book is available, yada, yada, people freaking love when it's for a good cause.
yes,
So you're
yes.
welcome that Melissa generously thought of this. That was all on her own, an extraordinary give. And such a cool opportunity for us because we could also just start the circuit of who do we, support in the community that's doing great work and being responsible about
Yes, I
ownership
love
and
that.
accountability. And it's just an amazing stepping stone potentially to other projects. All right. So again, I really want people to sit back and have this itch under their skin after they listen to us today and they like can't get it off their brain and they have
Yes,
to message you or
yes,
message
yes,
me.
yes.
And so I kind of want to talk about, examples of topics because they're flooding my brain right now. I can't help it. This is also kind of one of my strong suits in
Yes.
collaboration and sitting with people and seeing them fully. A lot of what I end up doing for people in business coaching is like, you're not doing the programs you actually want to be doing, or you're not offering,
Yes.
the services, the information, the things that you really are lit up about that will make your work life so much more fulfilling. So I'm like seeing, as I was saying, I want to speak to the separation anxiety piece and
Yes.
this incredibly enormous conversation of what is togetherness addiction and how we put our
Yeah.
emotional needs on our pets
Yeah.
and the behavioral fallout that comes from that on both sides of the leash. But man, it's like people get dogs all the time without respecting that they're predators, without respecting their
Mm.
need for fulfillment and
Yeah.
engagement. There's this whole topic that could be covered about the different language that we speak, the fact that animals are so much more about physical, spatial, energetic pressure, not verbs. Maybe a question that I would ask people is like, look at what happens when you can't use words anymore. Like
Ah,
this conversation topic and a whole
yes.
chapter diving into, what happens when you can't use your verbal language anymore, and how disconnected are we from our bodies. Holy crap,
Oh,
millions of
yeah.
components of that. You and I both could like go on for
Yes,
days
we
about
could.
the cost of being disconnected from your body. How many
Mm.
of us are walking through life with physical trauma, and when we're dealing in avoidance or addiction or whatever the thing may be to try to navigate that, and so often it leads to pulling animals in because it feels so good to be close to something that loves you, that wants you, that's happy to see you, that can't hurt you the way people can hurt you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's just like a million directions we could go with this. Then you've got your service animal and ESA work. We've got trainers in here who specialize in, raising or training dogs to be these incredible healing companions
Yeah.
that fill gaps where a human, the flip side of the coin, right?
Yeah.
When we actually select carefully the right job, and we respect the animal's nature and ability to smell that we're going to have a blood sugar crash, or
Yes.
um, be aware that the panic attack is coming on and be that calming presence and allow us
Yep.
to maybe raise the bar on what we expect of people in our life. Like dogs are so in the moment. They accept what you tell them as far as the structure and the boundaries and expectations of the relationship. Most people don't communicate those, and that's where the dog takes over. But if you
Yep.
communicate them, they're like, cool, groovy. This feels great to me. So when we
Ah,
can get it right with our dog, it's so much easier to turn around and go deal with Sheila at the office, who's like, a biatch to you on the regular and costing you your promotion
peace of mind.
because
Yep.
you practice this stuff with your dog who you thought you couldn't get control over, right?
Yeah.
So many directions that people could go in stories of helping folks over the struggle and the threshold of not being aware of how much is reflected in their experience of their dog, what they're dealing with within themselves. Big time list going on for me.
Oh, I love it. So I made a list, but I'm not a dog trainer. So it
Yeah.
was just from my
No, it's good to
perspective.
have both. Yeah, both
Yeah,
worlds.
which are not the same as you. But when you were saying all of those things, I'm thinking like I want to contribute my own chapter about my experience with my dogs because
Yeah.
let me tell you, I had two dogs that were completely different. One was just a total lover and just sweet and calm and contented. The other one was a total bitch, would eat the food right off of your plate, and
Uh-huh.
they were both just like me. They were both just like me. But one of the things that I think happened, and this is going to be kind of woo and strange, but um, I got the second dog when I was in the throes of my very severe depression, when I was
Mhm.
literally in bed for 7 years. And I don't think it's a coincidence that
Mhm.
she only lived to be 9 years old.
Mhm. Mhm.
I really think that, and my
Mhm.
groomer, who was an animal communicator, used to tell me all the time, you have to be careful because they're in your energy. They're picking
Wow.
up
Yeah.
all of your stuff.
Mhm.
And we don't even know what happened to her. Like, she
Mhm.
just got really sick and died.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I
Wow.
don't think that's a coincidence at
Mhm.
all.
Mhm.
And then the other one literally had 15 lives. We're like, how is she not a cat? Like all of the times that
So both
she
you.
she could exactly like could have died, should have died. She was
Uh,
resilient and came back and like
oh my
fought
God.
like a mother, you know?
Yeah.
So I
Yep.
think it's interesting that the whole energetics of it. So
Yeah. It is.
that
And the anxiety thing is big. We put a lot of anxiety on our dogs and it makes them
yeah,
sick. And
yep,
hello, we also do that to
to
ourselves, right?
ourselves.
Like the parallels, the metaphors abound in terms of behavior results on both sides. We just don't always know how to call it and see it for what it is,
Yeah.
especially if we're, too emotional or it's too close to us. But
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of those. I know we've got folks that sit in the more of the healing side of things, animal communication and so forth. Man, it'd be cool to have somebody speaking from that place and doing a chapter within the book as well, and just speaking
Yes.
to the spiritual side of what's
Yes.
going on in our relationships and experience with the dog. I got a lot of people that I'm connected to who could absolutely contribute there, just their own journey of tapping
Yes.
into that. Some of them started in much more intense physical training, for example,
Right.
punitive training, and then realized, wow, there's like another way to get at this from the inside out that works a lot
Yeah.
better, feels a lot better to me.
Hmm.
I'm of the mindset that it all has to work together, that
Together.
that
Sure.
you're correct, that nature is more balanced on its own, that there's a spirituality thing going on, that there's an energy. Like I think it all belongs in the pie. But I hopefully somebody will kind of, oh, that could be me. I could write that chapter
Yes.
because you could, Kara.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kara's the Amy. I'll call him out as I
I
can
was
think of.
thinking of Patty too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's just it. Like it doesn't have to be one. I don't want to prescribe what this book should look like. I don't want to prescribe your chapter. I will help you develop your chapter. I will help you decide what's best for you to communicate. But I don't want to say we only want these kinds of stories. I want it to be,
Yeah.
and those are the best kind of stories to read. We're talking, this is kind of like a chicken soup for the soul series,
Exactly
right?
what I was thinking. Yeah.
Just short little stories you can read one at a time, but so many different perspectives, but
Hmm.
they're all connected. They're
Hmm.
all related to human behavior and
Hmm.
dogs.
Hmm.
And I'm a very collaborative person. I'm not going to be prescriptive. I'm going to be descriptive and I'm
Hmm.
going to help you. Um, but it's your story and it's your story as industry leaders. It's
Hmm.
not my story. It's how do you tell a story that helps someone, empowers them, and also helps you and your business.
Hmm. Yeah. and puts a seal of clarity on what it is that you stand for within the work that you do. That's
Yes.
the other thing that I love about things like this is when you face that uncomfortableness of something that's unfamiliar or seems like it might be out of your depth. It's the see one, do one, teach one thing. You're teaching it out and you're really making it much more clear for yourself where you stand, what you believe in. I think that's a really powerful thing to hold oneself accountable to. It makes
Right.
us more effective at helping people in real time by doing something like this too. So definitely want to see folks really understand that sort of loop of your legacy, right? Like it's
Yeah.
legacy stuff. It's kind
That's
of a big
exactly what it is. I love
hmm
that.
hmm Great. Now I have to do it.
And I gave you an extra assignment
You gave
too.
me an extra assignment because you
I'm sorry.
can take a time off this month. Dang it. I got to get it done this year because I'm making no plans for 2021. I need a year of less efforting to improve
Yeah.
myself, which is ironic,
Yeah.
but I'm like, I am not, no marathons next year, no, no major goals in the business, just steady.
Good for
So yeah,
you.
we're getting this done this year.
Awesome. I couldn't be more excited. And I'm absolutely in love with the people that I've connected with so far.
Good,
And I know that,
good.
this is going to be a really great crew. It'll be a fun collaborative experience. We'll set up our own Facebook group.
Yeah,
You'll be able to contribute throughout the process as much or as little as you want.
awesome.
And it's going to be fun. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Very cool. Well, they
Yeah.
need to reach out and get in touch. We're trying to get this squared away. So, in case you joined late or you're just now listening, going, what the heck are you talking about? Please go back and watch the full
Yeah.
broadcast because we discussed the book project, the collaborative book project that Melissa and I shared in her interview during the summit that is intended to be, your opportunity to get published. But all you need to do is write a chapter. Basically, as she said, a long essay, a chapter. It could be a story reflecting on your experience in this work. There's a vast spectrum of topics within that would be incredible for us to collect and gather and put together from, the holistic side, health, spirituality, communication, all the way to specific behavioral, issues, challenges, what have you, how our relationships with our dogs affect us and our behavior affects them. So just this incredible opportunity to collaborate with 10 minimum up to 20 authors. All you got to do is write the one chapter and she's going to be your guide through the entire process. And we got a couple people, myself included, saying yes to this incredible opportunity. It is a fundraiser. It is going to have proceeds go to nonprofit, My Hope to Canine, which is incredible. And so really, really happy to answer any questions. If you guys are intimidated, you want to reach out, you want to know more about Melissa, I'll tell you. But I'll tell you right now, she's just the loveliest human and truly, truly will make it the easiest possible thing for you to then be able to say, I did it. So later it can be
Yeah.
your whole book. It can be
Yeah.
another great writing project and just another and another and get you on what do you call it? Snowball
Trajectory. Yeah.
trajectory of
Mhm.
feeling, more confident that you can do things like this. So it is going to be really, really awesome. And yeah, we need you. We need people to step up and round out this panel for us. So please reach
Yes.
out and let us know if you'd like to do that. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
I'm excited. I feel
Me
like
too.
yes, it is a great way to get started in the writing world, Carrie Ann. It is. And that goes for you too, KB. You get in there as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've worked with hundreds of authors in sharing their story, and it is of all the work that I do, this is my favorite work, which is why I'm,
Mm,
transitioning to do more of only this because I love seeing people come to a place where, oh, I don't have that much value or my story isn't that valuable. And I'm like, wait a minute, but if we
yeah,
do this or do that, and they're like, oh my gosh,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
amazing.
It's
Like
just not a
I
thing.
did that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Trust your story, people.
Yeah.
It really is the key place to start, honestly, if you're looking to feel better about anything, healthier in any way. Chances are it's about you know, a need to really
100%.
sit with that stuff and really love yourself in all the shadows also, and really get right with where you've come from, because it is it's a gift you have to give going forward. I really, really believe that.
Yeah.
And we're just going to all take that one next right step together. That's all there is to
Yes,
it.
that's it. That's it
Sloppy,
exactly.
wobbly, best next step.
Yes,
Awesome.
I love
Well,
that.
thanks,
Thank you.
lady. I appreciate this
You
as
bet.
always, and I'm hopeful to hear from lots of folks. And I'll let you go to the rest of your afternoon. And I see a lot of work ahead for me this month to get done. So we'll talk off screen as the weeks come together here, and see who steps up to the plate
And
for this.
yeah, in terms of this project, a lot of work is for you 1.5 long essays.
Yeah, cool.
So
Okay.
it's not as much as it feels like, oh, I'm going to be in a book and it's a big deal. It's really
Mhm.
not as big of a deal as it needs to be. But
Super long
it's
email rant.
important. Like I'm not trying to negate your experience. I'm trying to
Yes.
support you,
Yeah.
and you can totally do this.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. People need to
1.5
hear
essays.
that, as
Yep.
do I. Thank
I know. I
you.
know this.
Oh, awesome. Fantastic. Right on. Well,
Thank
thanks
you.
everybody.
Good to see
We'll see you guys
everyone. Thanks for
later. Yes.
joining.
Great chatting with you
Appreciate it.
today, my friend. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Bet. Bye.